Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden and welcome to my August front garden tour, otherwise known as my 1 year anniversary here at this property. 1 year ago, my family and I moved into this property. It's been quite a year. There's been so much wonderful things going on, and we've made so much progress. I do have to say, I took a look at my before garden tour, the one that I did last August when we first moved into this property, and my mouth just dropped open. I forgot what it looked like before we moved in and how much we've done to it, and it just makes me feel really proud, all the work that Jason and I and my daughters have put into this property, and I'm just so excited to see what's going to happen next year. So I want to take you around the front garden today and show you everything that has changed, show you what our plans are for it, show you the differences between my last garden tour, the before garden tour, the one last August, versus this one. Our plans have kind of changed a little bit. So it's pretty interesting just to see what can happen in 1 year. Okay, so let me start off with a before shot, a before overview of what the property looked like. And then I'm going to try and stand in a similar spot. And now I will show you what it looks like now. So lots of changes, still lots of work to be done, but my goodness, it's really different. There's so many things that we've done that I'm so proud of and I'm so happy about. And again, I'm excited to see what else is coming, what else we can accomplish next year. So let me take you over here. I'm going to try and follow the before garden tour pretty similarly, just so that I can show you guys the before and after shots, kind of in the same way. So I started over here. This is my front gate right here. We still have the same gate, which is very annoying. We definitely want to replace the gate, but budget is quite an issue. I know you all have heard me talk about that before, but when you move into a bigger property, so this property is a little over 0.8 of an acre, whereas my previous property was 0.17 of an acre. And so what a big shock it was to Jason and I budget-wise, and how much more expensive it is to manage and to update and to take care of a bigger property. And those of you who live in bigger properties, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. So a lot of things that we really wanted to get done this year didn't happen. Some other things did happen that we didn't think were going to happen this year. It's all a work in progress, but it's really fun to see 1 year out and where we started. So when we first moved in here, there was kind of like this stacked stone swoop right here that I had planned to use as kind of like a front swoop that mimicked my last property. That ended up coming out pretty quickly because we had other plans for it. And we had this big buddleia that was one of the first things that I took out, and I'm glad that I took that out. But then over here, this is my long border. And in the first garden tour, I had started calling this my long border because it reminded me of the long border at Great Dixter in England, and it still reminds me of that. It's still, to me, when Jason and I talk about this, we say the long border. We've done some plantings in it. I have some gladiola over here that are about done. I have my peanut butter plant that I don't even know if that's still alive. I have this beautiful pink velour crepe myrtle. Look at how gorgeous this thing is. This thing's going to get about 8 to 10 feet tall and 8 to 10 feet wide. So it's just a baby, but you can see how beautiful it is. And then a ballet slippers hibiscus that's just showing off for this tour right now. Really pretty. I have 4 of them. I have 4 right here. I have these all over the property because Walter's Gardens did send me 25 of the bare roots of these, so I kind of just put them all over the garden, and I'm really enjoying them. I have a Monterey cypress right there, which I want to get more of. And then one of the things I talked about in the before garden tour is that there were supposed to be 18 fruit trees when we moved into this house. There definitely weren't 18 fruit trees. Some of them had died, and I really do think that they were counting some of the trees that were on the neighbor's property and were hanging over. So yeah, there's that. But one of them is this apricot tree right here. And this apricot, it wasn't very prolific this year, but I think part of the reason was I didn't spray it. I didn't take care of it. I honestly didn't do anything to it. I need to be better at taking care of my fruit trees. You'll see my fig tree in a minute. But it's just something that I am not well versed in, and I have to learn. I have to really focus on that a lot more. So beautiful apricot tree here. We did have enough to make a dump cake, which I've told you all about that. My mother-in-law, who passed away, well, Jason's stepmom, she passed away about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now. She used to make us all dump cakes out of apricots that were grown on trees that she would pick off trees. And basically it was the apricots that she would cut up, and then she would pour on a box of yellow cake mix, yellow or white, I think it was yellow cake mix, and then melt a stick of butter and pour the butter over it. And it was the most delicious thing. So we were able to make one, but that's all that we had from these apricots. I do have a Wichita blue juniper right there that's absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait for that thing to get bigger. One of the things that I did do this year in my garden is I made monthly gardens, monthly blooming gardens. Some of them succeeded. Some of them didn't succeed. This is my March monthly blooming garden, and you can see it's not doing very well. So part of the problem is this whole area is very, very bad rocky soil, very bad soil. And then we were having issues with irrigation, and I think just those two things combined, it just really decimated a couple of these osteospermums. You can see those two are dead. Man, it just doesn't look good, but the azalea is still looking good. So in March, the azalea should start blooming. I'll probably replace some of these plants here for my March blooming garden. So what the March blooming garden is it's basically next March, these plants should be in full swing, blooming and absolutely gorgeous. And then every blooming garden, basically every month, I'll have flowers that month that I can go look at and I can go enjoy. I also planted up this area in my long border. We did take out, there was like a plum right here. I almost forgot about that. There was a plum right here, and then Lance came and said that it was pretty well diseased, like pretty intensely diseased. So we decided to just take that one out. It used to be right here, so we took that out. I added in this purple hopseed tree or bush, and I pruned it up into a tree, and I'm going to keep pruning it up into a tree, and I'm just loving it. It was struggling a little bit at first, but it's looking a lot better now. I do have some Vermillionaire Kufia that's looking gorgeous. Took a little bit of time to get settled in, but now it's settled in. I don't even want to show you my boba hydrangeas because they look terrible. I planted these, right, so we had the absolute worst July heat wave. And usually we don't get that hot in July. It was the hottest July on record for here. Usually it's like August, September when we get our heat waves. So I thought I had enough time to let them like kind of settle in. They're still alive. They are not happy. So we're just going to leave them there for now. This is cookies and cream. That's what it is. Summerific hibiscus cookies and cream, looking very beautiful. And then back behind that, I have a Kinsley's Ghost honeysuckle that's going to start growing up and over this fence as well. So that's going to be really, really pretty. So lots of progress on the long border, but my plan for this fall and winter is to really amend this soil really, really well. And I'll talk about how I amended the soil over in my orchard garden in a little bit. And I'm basically going to do the same thing over in this one. It's basically the no-till method where you put about 6 inches of compost just on top of the soil and you let it kind of work in, and you put wood chips over it. So that's my plan for this. It definitely needs it. So one thing I did want to mention about this garden tour, and specifically about the long border, is Michael Glassman's designs. So when I did my August garden tour last year, it was just a couple days before my landscape designer friend, award-winning landscape designer friend, Michael Glassman, came over and basically designed my property for me. And he did such a wonderful job, and we love his designs, and we're going to do the majority of his designs. But one of the reasons why he's such a wonderful designer is that he works with his clients, and if there's something that they really want, he immediately adjusts, right? It's like, great, that's a great idea. Let's do this, or maybe you can do this. And so he had designed for this long border, he suggested to do just one row of big trees that's going to basically mask off this house right here. And I think that that's a fabulous idea, and that's great, but I can't let go of the Great Dixter long border idea. Like, I just can't let it go. It's just something that I'm really excited about and I really, really want to do. And so I told him that, and he's all gung-ho for it now. So that's one of the questions and comments I get quite often. I've even gotten some emails about it, of people saying, why aren't you following what Michael Glassman says? And I absolutely am, but we're working together and we're friends and we're talking, and he understands that I do want this to be a long mixed border, and he's super happy about that. So it's never going against what Michael Glassman says. It's just working with him. And I love him for that. I love how good he is at working with his clients. So, and I do have to say I'm more his friend than his client. So it makes it even better. So one of the spots that I am following exactly what Michael Glassman suggested is my center island. So what I had originally planned for my center island was to do like a parterre garden and to have something in the middle and then have these raised beds on all sides. And he made a really good point that if you were to do that, this is kind of out in the open. We have our street right here that we don't have a lot of privacy from yet. We're going to be working on that. And he suggested that we might want to do something a little bit different. And his idea was to have it raised over in that back corner over there, put some type of structure gazebo, and then have a dry creek bed coming all the way out this way. And that is exactly what I want to do. We did not touch the center island this year because of financial reasons. We really wanted to focus on the orchard garden and a little bit in the backyard this year. Next year, though, this is really what we're working on, and I'm excited to do Michael Glassman's suggestions. It also included a pathway that kind of is over on this side right here and comes across and as little stepping stones across the dry creek bed, and then a little bench over there. So I'm really excited about that. I'm definitely going to do that. His idea was also to do kind of like a no-mow meadow, and that's exactly what I want to do as well. So I will be doing that. The problems with this bed, I've talked to you all about this, I think I talked about this in the last video, is that we do have a leach field right here. So our septic system is over here, our septic tank, I should say. And then the leach field, like the access point is right here. And then the leach field's kind of all in this area right here. Basically the area where all my plants are struggling. So that is going to be like a difficult area to be planting over. We want to make sure we don't put anything too big with any roots or anything like that. So I think what I'm going to be doing for this whole area is that no-mow, that California native lawn. Let me show you a picture of what I'm talking about. And I am really excited about it because, one, I think Monty will really like it to frolic around in there. I think it's going to kind of cool this whole area down. And then I do think that it's going to be something good to have over the leach field. So that's going to be on the left side of the dry creek bed. As you go up to closer to the gazebo, whatever structure I do pick, I'm thinking about doing some water features and stuff like that all over there, but I do have to think about that. One of the things that we did do just temporarily, we took out the rose bushes. Like, I have to think back as to what it looked like last August. There was these huge rose bushes blocking this propane tank, which was nice to have them block the propane tank, but I knew I wanted those rose bushes to come out. So our plans are to move this propane tank. Absolutely, we're going to be moving it. We actually have kind of a time frame for our budget as well, that we're hoping to get it done that month. I don't want to say that because, if it doesn't work out, it's very, very expensive. It's a lot more expensive than we thought it was going to be. So in the meantime, I planted some corn around. You can see how short this corn is, though. This corn was supposed to be 7 or 8 feet tall, and it's I don't know, 4 feet, if that, right? So it just goes to show how things don't really grow very well. I do need to amend all this soil and put a couple inches of compost on top, but things just aren't really growing well here. So that's another reason why I think the meadow will be really good. So this upcoming year, the propane tank should be moved, hopefully early in the year. And then again, this whole thing is just going to be kind of like a pretty meadow, maybe with a couple, grassy shrubs, or I don't know yet, but this is definitely going. I've had a lot of people message me about painting the propane tank. We rent this propane tank, and the people we rent it from does not allow us to paint it. So that's out of the question. So it has to stay white, especially because our plans are to get rid of it in the next couple months. I don't want to paint it and then have to pay for it. So I will not be painting it to disguise it. I think the corn, I'm just going to leave the corn up and let it dry and see how long it will last over the winter. So our plans for this center island was basically to do nothing with it this year. I had kind of leveled it out. I did have a skid steer in here and was leveling it out. We kind of made a little bit of a berm over on that side, and then we just decided, okay, enough. We can't do that much with it this year, so we decided not to touch it. And then I had this empty space with nothing in it except for drip irrigation, and I just couldn't help myself, and I planted cut flowers. And I'm so very glad I did, because having the cut flowers here, one, made this whole area very useful this whole year, but two, it made it so that I kind of understood how the planting of this center island was. This side has been amended with soil. This side doesn't have the leach field. This side, all the plants are growing beautifully. This side wasn't amended with compost. It has the leach field. All the plants are growing horribly, like look at how bad that is. This is like the worst I've ever grown anything ever. I mean, these are zinnias. How do you mess up on a zinnia? It just isn't. It just is not the right place for it. So I'm really glad that I did end up planting some stuff here in the center island, just so that I can get an idea of what's going on in this area. And like I said, this whole area is going to be our focus for 2025. So now I have some more plans. I have some more ideas. I know what I'm going to plant. On either side of the pathway, I'm definitely going to plant trees. This fall is going to be tree fall for us. That's what I'm calling it, tree fall. And I am spending quite a lot of money on, not quite a lot of money. I'm still getting, small 5-gallon trees, but I am spending money on trees and planting trees, because now I know where I want trees, where I want to plant them, and whether I want them deciduous or whether I want them evergreen or, whatever it is. So I have plans for where I want all my trees, and I definitely want 2 on either side here. And I'm pretty sure I want 2 crepe myrtles right there. Okay, so now moving over to this garden bed, there's the front gate. So this is just to the left of the front gate. I call this garden bed my willow tree garden bed because I have the willow tree that I got from my friend Robbie. It was my housewarming present, and look at how big it's grown. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about it. It's very deceiving. The power lines are very far away from it. It's not going to touch it even at full height, or full. It's basically over to this side. Does that make sense? So it's very deceiving. Don't worry. I didn't plant a tree right underneath a power line. You can kind of see the fence over there, how far the power lines are outside of the fence. Anyway, so we had I think we had 3 plum trees right here. 2 of them were ornamental. 1 was not ornamental. They were all very badly diseased. And my arborist, who is a genius arborist, he was like, they're on their way out, so you can keep them for a couple years. But he said he wouldn't landscape around them because they were not long for this world. So I decided to just bite the bullet and just take them out and make other plans, plant other trees, just make other plans for it. So Michael Glassman planned you'll see this pathway over here in the orchard, and then the pathway comes and loops around the willow tree. We are going to be doing that. So this whole raised bed is going to be taken out, but that is kind of a big project, and I'm kind of tired from taking stuff out. We got to the point where we were like, no more demo. And so this thing kind of got left and it'll probably stay here all next year. But that's okay. I did plant a bunch of bearded iris in here, and like none of it bloomed. I don't know what the problem was. A couple of you said you thought I planted them too deeply, but it was recommended to me to plant them deeply because we're so hot here that it would like protect them. And that's what I did at my last house too. I think maybe they were just too young, and I'm going to leave them in, and I'm going to see what happens next year. If these all bloom, oh my gosh, I'll be so happy, but I got like maybe one bloom this year or something like that, but that's okay. So let's see what else. I planted a 7-sun flower tree right here. This is going to get about 10 feet tall. Ooh, it's starting to bloom. That's exciting. That's really fun. So this is one I'm super excited about. It's very small, but it's going to get a lot bigger. I did plant some Matilahaw poppies right here. They're looking really good, except for this. What happened? Looks like this died. This limb. That's okay. So I'll go in and fix it. But I'm super excited about these because they're really hard to get established once you plant them. A lot of times they'll die when you plant them, but you can see I have 2 very beautiful established ones. Now, this whole area is probably going to change quite a bit because I have a whole hedge. I think I have 20. Yardline viburnum, which is a new viburnum from Proven Winners from Spring Meadow, and it gets 12 feet tall and only 4 feet wide. So I want to plant it on this side of the fence so that it's going to be privacy, but then it's going to have, instead of having the fence as a backdrop, I'm going to have a green backdrop behind it. So it's going to be a little tight behind the willow tree. That's okay. And then I'm just going to kind of have them all along so that we'll have this big 12-foot green wall over here, which I think will really help with the traffic noise. It's a county road, so it's not like a super busy road, but it's so funny. In the mornings, when everybody's on their way to the farms for work, it gets super busy. And it's these trucks that drive very, very fast, so they're very, very loud. But then for the rest of the day, it's quiet like it is now. But I still need some privacy. I think that there's laws that you can only have your fences up to 6 feet tall in the front. So it's not like I can put a big fence. So having a 12-foot hedge, I think, is going to be absolutely perfect. So imagine the 12-foot hedges right there. And then here is my deodar cedar surrounded by my homestead verbena. This was quite a success. Now this deodar cedar is going to get like 40, 50 feet tall or something like that. But of course it's going to take quite a lot of time to get to that height. So for now I'm just going to be planting perennials and annuals around it and just enjoy the space as I'm waiting for this tree to get bigger, but it's a slow grower, so it's going to take plenty of time. You can see I have my pathway here, right there in my orchard. That is where we stopped for this year because we decided that it got to a point where we needed to stop it. But what we're using something called edge-right metal edging. And the cool thing about this is it comes in 4 feet length. So you can see there's kind of a connector right there and then another connector right there. So it's really easy to just take out one of the 4-foot pieces, bend it over this way, and then we can extend the pathway when we're ready to extend the pathway up and all the way around and around the willow tree. So this is not part of my plans for next year. This is probably 2026. That's 2025, but this is ready to go when we're ready to do it. All these perennials right here I planted last fall, and they're looking really, really good, except for the grasses. I planted those this year. They're looking really beautiful, especially this Helen von Stein lamb's ear. I need to get so much more of this in my garden. I need to get so much more lavender in my garden. Like, it's so funny once you see things in full bloom, like this brilliant pink iceberg rose. It's like, okay, I need more of that. And then of course, we're playing the blue salvia that has, I can't remember the name of this butterfly, but I know it's California's state butterfly. They're all over these days. For like a couple weeks at this time of year, oh my gosh, these butterflies are absolutely everywhere. So loving this. And of course, this is my favorite plant in my garden, and I need more. So let's move on to the orchard garden. first I want to talk about this pile of wood chips. So we are using wood chips in our garden, one, because it's free. You can get them from an arborist or getchipdrop.com. It's totally free. The amount that it would cost for us to put some mulch into this property would be thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. So, you know, ideally I would like a little bit darker of a mulch, but it's more important that it's free in my mind right now. The second reason why wood chips are so great is because they break down and they're so freaking good for your soil. They're so good for your soil, you guys. If you do 6 inches of compost topped with a couple inches of wood chips, oh my gosh, your soil is just going to absolutely love you. Now, the drawback that I do want it like a PSA for everybody, Jason and I were spreading these chips. I think we've gotten 5 chip drops thus far, which is like a load of wood chips that the arborist drops off at our house. And 4 of them have been absolutely fine. This one, though, was very, very, very dusty. And I actually got pneumonia, walking pneumonia, after spreading this. So this has kind of just sat here until I'm 100%, my lungs are 100%, and then Jason and I will spread it more. So just be careful if you do get chip drops. Sometimes you get a dustier load, and just, you know, wear protection. So I digress. Back to the orchard. You can see it's looking so beautiful. My fig tree, yeah, it's loaded. You can say. I need to get out here and I need to harvest, and I really, really, really want to make fig jam this year. I didn't make it last year. I just ran out of time, and so it is on my list of things that I want to do, and these figs are absolutely ready. So I have planted all around. I planted Ladybird Sunglow Callillophus, which is gorgeous, Pink Profusion Salvia, which I have not cut back this year, you guys. I have just not gotten around to it. And the second flush came and I was like, oh, well, that's pretty. So this plant has literally been blooming the longest out of any other plant in my garden. This plant has been blooming the longest. So I am definitely planting more of that next year. I also have this Sweet Romance lavender that I pruned back, and it's starting to flush out again, which is really exciting. This is the new unplugged white salvia. Look at how beautiful this is. Look at how romantic this is. So this, I am definitely doing more of this as well, because it is just happy as a clam right here. And it is just a beautiful, beautiful plant. This is a new plant for 2025 for Proven Winners. Do you see, can you guys see all these bees? Holy cow. They are definitely liking this. This is my lime tree. It's fabulous. Look at all these limes. Look at that. And they are the best limes ever. We live in California. We're obsessed with Mexican food. We have Mexican food once or twice a week, I would say. So we definitely use these limes like crazy. So I'm so happy to have those. We did plant a couple shrubs. This is a Miss Molly butterfly bush. I have a bigger one down the way. I'll show you. A plumbago we absolutely had to plant, and then a white pillar rose of Sharon, just absolutely beautiful as well. So this whole garden bed is my best for the West Garden. It's all plants that are going to love the hot, dry heat here, and just make it so that, you know, I don't have to worry about it too much. I can just kind of plant it, put it on drip irrigation, and then know that it's going to be completely fine with the heat. For instance, this Evolvulus blew my mind. Holy cow, this plant is just incredible. Look at the bee right there. It's so big. It's just kind of covering this whole area, which is exactly what I want. Look at this thing, you guys. Look at my chiclet orange. Look at this plant. I did not expect this at all. Okay, so this is a shrub. This is a chiclet orange Esperanza, which is, I think it's a Tacoma / Esperanza. I'll put it on the screen right now. Spring Meadow from Proven Winners was like, this plant's going to be really, really good for you. You should plant this plant. And I was like, oh, I haven't really heard of it. I don't really know too much about it. All right, I'll plant it. And I planted it, and nothing really happened. And then all of a sudden in the past month, it shot up and it's blooming like crazy. And it is so beautiful. And look at it with the denim and lace Russian sage. Look at how beautiful, beautiful this plant is. I forget the zones for this plant. I want to say 7 through 10, but I'll put it on the screen right now. And it's perfect because I've cut back my Kniphofia. It's not really blooming right now. This is my Orange Blaze Kniphofia. And so the denim and lace is still going. And then the Tacoma, the Esperanza kind of took over. And it's just beautiful. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So over here, I do have on either side, I have my lemon coral sedum, which I am going to extend further. I just have to get some more of the lemon coral sedum. It's absolutely beautiful. More of the Rockin' Playin' the Blues salvia, which is just covered with bees. Look at the carpenter bee. Look at that. Isn't that exciting to see that? Oh, I just love it. Way back there, I have my monster, my Vertigo pennisetum, that did not grow very much this year, you guys. Normally that gets like 9 feet tall, and I think I didn't give it enough water. I have to go check the emitter. For the Vertigo pennisetum, it needs a lot of water to grow. And I'm wondering if I need to put another emitter on it or something, because it just never really shot up. I don't know. We'll see. It's a perennial for me, so I'll just cut it back kind of in January, and then it'll grow again next year. So I have a feeling next year it's going to be massive. What is massive is these Suncredible sunflowers. I might have overplanted them. I might have overdone it a little bit because they are absolutely just taking over. Holy cow. Let me come to the front over here. They are just taking over. I have this raspberry superbena right here that's so beautiful, and I definitely want more of it. And I had way more of it, and it just got covered with the Suncredible sunflowers. So they're technically annuals, but I have had them come back for me. So I will cut them back and then see what happens. Can you guys see all the pollinators? This is crazy. They're obviously very, very happy, which is great. I'll cut the Suncredible sunflowers back. I'll see if they come back. If they do come back, I'm going to thin them out because, like I said, I might have overdone it a little bit. Okay, now on to my pomegranate tree. My pomegranate tree, I'll show you what it looked like when we first moved in. It's quadrupled in size, I would say. I've also gotten quadruple the amount of pomegranates. I mean... Look at this. I don't even know how to tell if a pomegranate's ready. I'll have to look that up and try and figure it out, but oh my goodness. So I've been going back and forth. I was thinking about taking it out because I'm not a huge fan of how it looks, but you guys are right. I need a pomegranate tree. I need to leave it in. So what I am going to do is I'm going to wait. It's deciduous. It'll lose all its leaves. And then I'm really going to like prune it. I'm going to prune it up to make it look like a tree instead of like this huge bush that it is. This thing, it's just so happy. It's like, I can't take it out. It's just so happy. And there's so many pomegranates on it. I mean, I don't know. So for those of you, hashtag Team Pomegranate, it is staying, but I will be pruning it later this fall once it loses all its leaves. Okay, now this area. This area is, I don't know, it's kind of a fail. So I have these two beautiful orange trees. They are so prolific. I got so many oranges off of these orange trees last January. It was crazy. I had somebody come and help me harvest all of them, and he had a truck, and he filled the bed of his truck up. It was like piled high of all the oranges, and I had bags and bags and bags and bags of oranges that I donated to charity. And my family and I had been having fresh squeezed orange juice like every morning for a month. So not to brag, but holy cow, I have tons and tons of oranges, and they're fantastic. I love them. What I don't love is the gopher that we have. So I started noticing signs of a gopher. And I had this beautiful artichoke that I planted this past year, and it was really, really pretty. And then all of a sudden, one day, it was gone. And I had all these cardoons all around, and one by one, they were dying. So I have a little one left over there. I have one pretty one right here and one more right there, and that's it. But I planted so many of them. The gopher didn't touch the lavender, which is wonderful. And I think that that's what I'm going to add to this area is more lavender. But it kind of just decimated this area. I had a bunch of yarrow right here that I planted, decimated, and you could see like the little mounds. What else did it take? Oh, it had I had 3 shrubs right here. I can't remember the name of them right now. Decimated those, absolutely gone. It did take some of my lantana, but it left some of it. So, you know, it's just kind of been like hit and miss. And I started getting really, really discouraged and frustrated. I will tell you, we did have a professional come out and deal with the gopher. So I haven't seen anything yet since the professional came out, but you know, we'll see. We'll see. I did try a new plant that was supposed to be good for heat. This is called a pineapple lily. I think this is good. I think this plant is good for heat and humidity, not heat and dryness like we have, because they just pretty much died. But right next to it is the breath of heaven right there. Those should be getting really big and those will look really pretty. And I want to prune them into ball shapes. And I think that they're going to be gorgeous right there. So I think I forgot to say, one of the biggest things that we did in our orchard garden is put this pathway in. So this is a decomposed granite pathway lined with that edge-right metal edging. I'll put a link for it in the description down below. Basically, it's like a DIY metal edging. It's fabulous. We're going to have it all over our property. I have lots and lots of plans for it, so I totally recommend it. And Robbie has used it too, and he really likes it as well. So it's just a really, really good option. We still have to do another couple layers of the decomposed granite, but we just kind of got burnt out with using the compactor and all that kind of stuff. So that will come with time. But I do like that it has the pathway through here so that there's actually some structure now. Here's another one of those ballet slippers hibiscus. So this whole area we've planted up a lot of perennials. So some of them are out of bloom right now, like the banana cream 2 Shasta daisies. This right here is the whirlwind blue scaevola that, like, I mean, you can't beat that. The problem with this, though, is so funny. Monty thinks of it as his own personal pillow. I will come out and he will be just sprawled along the scaevola, and it's like, no! So he just loves it. He needs some grass. I'm going to get him the meadow over there. It'll be fine. For now, he's been laying on my scaevola, but you can see it's still holding up, which is good. Then I have my surefire rose begonia right here, which is fabulous because the orange tree does cast quite a lot of shade. So I had to plant plants here that can handle the sun and handle the shade. And the surefire rose begonia can do that, as well as the Helen von Stein lamb's ear. I do have a blank spot right here that I've decided I am going to be putting a lemon tree, actually a Eureka lemon tree, which gets a little bit taller than the Meyer lemon tree. So I'm excited about that. I think that that's going to be beautiful. We are having water issues here. I don't think that there's a leak. We've looked around trying to find a leak. There's no leak. I think that the drainage is just really, really bad, which is kind of the issue I had over there, which is why I planted the hibiscus right there. I think I was going to plant the lamb's ear right there, but I changed it and planted the hibiscus because the drainage was so poor right there. So I think I'm having the same issue kind of right in this area. And I think I'm going to start just throwing a whole bunch of gypsum down to see if that will help. But who knows? I think just part of the problem is this land had not been touched for so long. It just definitely needed some help. So moving along this way, we have our black walnut tree that has been quite annoying. I didn't even really think about it until I started noticing that things were kind of suffering underneath it. And so finally I decided to go with it and plant things that can handle living underneath a black walnut tree. So black walnut secretes a chemical, I think that's how you say, called jugalone, and a lot of plants cannot handle it, but some plants can, like this ornamental pink crystal grass that's so beautiful, and then these cone flowers right here that are beautiful as well. And then I'll show you this area in tomorrow's tour, but you can see my surefire white begonia is perfectly happy and nothing else is happy over there. And begonia is one of the plants that can handle a black walnut. So it's been a really interesting, learning. I've learned a lot about this and learned a lot about planting under black walnuts and all that kind of stuff. So really interesting. We did create another berm right here, and there is going to be kind of like this fence around it. I have this lilac twist redbud that has this disease to it. I've already treated it once, but I think it's just so far gone that I have to wait for it to drop all its leaves, clean up all the leaves, and then start fresh next year. The Truffula pink gomphrena is just happy as a clam. and I am going to be planting more of this as well. And then coming over here, I wanted to show you this view because this is the view that we see when we're sitting at the dining table inside. And so really pretty. We've got the lemon coral sedum and then the meteor shower of verbena and then the iceberg rose behind it. And then we'll have the lemon tree even behind that. So that will be really, really beautiful. I'm excited about it. Now, as for more of the changes that we've done since this past year, this area has changed quite a bit. Let me show you a before shot of the zigzag planter, what it looked like when we first moved in. And if you watch that video, I literally said, mark my words, it's coming out. And now I don't know. Now I kind of like it. I think it's really, really pretty. I just cut it all back so it doesn't look as good as it could. But I kind of like it, especially with the big tall grasses in it. I think it kind of just makes quite a statement in front of my California Rambler Ranch home, which isn't too appealing to the eye. Like it's just not an interesting house. So having something really interesting in front of it, I think makes a huge difference. And then right here we had those red concrete stepping stones. Oh my gosh, they were so ugly. And we decided to put in this kind of treatment that I had done in my greenhouse in the back. It's very nice, but you can see it does get messy. I did not clean this up at all before this video. We did spray one layer of mulch glue, gravel glue on this, and it worked really well when we sprayed it, but I think that it needs like 3 layers basically, and I think that it's something that you have to keep repeating like every 6 months. So it looks better than it did before, and this was relatively cheap and something that we could do ourselves. So I'm glad that we did it, and you can see we have more of that edge right metal edging right there. It looks 10 times better than it did before, but you can see the drawback. I just want to tell you all, the drawback of having this. I did have one of you ask me if it seemed like it would be easy to have a wheelchair on something like this. I don't know, you can kind of see how it is. It's not the most stable. I think that if you were really on top of it with the gravel glue, then maybe a wheelchair would be okay. But I do like the look. I also did my espalier, which I'm so glad, and it's really starting to take off right now. It's really looking beautiful. So I planted all the star jasmine last fall. I think I probably installed it in September, and it's almost touching the top. It's looking so good. There used to be 3 big rose bushes here. They still come up every once in a while. I'm still dealing with the roots, but that's okay. And I just like this look so much better. And then of course the Super Beano whiteout is you just can't beat it. There are just some really, really good plants that perform so well, and Super Beano whiteout is definitely one of them. Another one is the Super Beano pink cashmere I told you all about. I even think in that before garden video, I said I wanted to put Super Beano pink cashmere in the zigzag planter, and I did, and I'm so, so glad I did. In the interim, before I put the Super Beano pink cashmere, I actually planted these purple fountain grass in here just for fall. I was just planning to do it for fall, but I enjoyed it so much that I left it up over winter, cut it back in January, and then it grew back, and I'm just loving it. So I obviously have to take these out because they're just way, way, way too big. I think I'm going to transplant them. First, I think I'm going to divide them and then transplant them over to the long border over there, or maybe even the center island. I don't know. And then I'll plant a smaller, more upright grass. I haven't decided which one yet. But I have decided what annual I'm going to be planting in my zigzag planter. You all could probably guess because I'm talking about it all the time, but it's Tiara Pink, Supertunia Tiara Pink. It's so beautiful, you guys. It's a new one for 2025, and it's super vigorous, and it's so beautiful. Watch my garden tour tomorrow for the back garden tour, and I'll show you one of the plants I have. It's just gorgeous. It's just really, really pretty. So anyway, huge shock that the zigzag planter was such a it was such a surprise hit for me, you know, and I'm so shocked at how much I actually really do enjoy it. I do like these pots here. I am going to leave them here. I keep going back and forth on whether I should paint them or do terracotta or something like that. And honestly, I cannot decide. So I'm just not going to touch them for now. I'll decide later. I do have my hanging baskets that I had just cut back. I cut them back like 10 days ago, I would say. So they're starting to grow back. They're starting to look really good. We did paint the deck. I don't even remember. I think it was just wood before. I'll show you a before shot. We did paint the deck. The deck's just, I mean, it's just in the interim. We're just going to keep it for now until, you know, there's more important things to address before we start addressing stuff like this. So I'm just not going to worry about it too much. And then, finally, we do have the front entryway, which I'm really liking. I have these two big coral bark maples. I have no idea why that one's growing that way and that one's growing that way. This one is like super compact and not really growing, and this one's like sprawling out all over the place. If you guys see decorations hanging up inside, it's Sadie's birthday today. She's 11, so we have decorations all over the place, tons of balloons inside. So the other thing, I don't even know if I should tell you all this, but we are getting a new door, which I'm very happy about. It needs it so bad. And so we're going to kind of change what the door is going to look like, and it's going to kind of change this whole area. So that's something else that's coming up. It's on our list of things that we want to address, and I'm really excited about it. So that is 1 year later, my front garden. Tomorrow I will do my back garden. I seriously cannot believe how many changes have happened in just 1 year. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I look at this and I think, like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. I'm not doing enough. I need to hurry up. But then I stop and I look at it and I think all the stuff that Jason and I have done, and it's like, dang. We did a lot this year. We did a ton of stuff this year. We should be proud. So I am super proud. And I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you for joining me on this experience, on this journey. It's been so much fun, and there's so much more to come. And I feel like that we're just getting started on this property, and I can't wait. I can't wait to share it with all of you. So I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.